Welcome to Beyond the Work, Tales in Multifamily Maintenance. My name is Chris Caramanica. As a 15-plus year veteran in the apartment industry, I have stories to tell, a desire to hear and tell others' stories. As a multiple committee member for NAA, a CAMT advisory board member and a CAMT holder, and a national presenter and educator, I have met and worked with so many great people in our industry at all different levels. This is not going to be a how-to podcast. This is going to be a how did podcast. We are going to explore the how did tales in multifamily maintenance. How did we do it? How did we learn from it? How did we grow? How did we decide not to do it again? Join me as we go beyond the work.
Jesse Best, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Beyond the Work, Tales in Multifamily Maintenance. Now, I promoted a little bit just before you and I started talking, but this is an interesting conversation. You and I have never met. We have never spoken. We have shared a couple of LinkedIn posts to help set up what we're doing here today. So first, why don't you just give everybody your name and where you work and why you and I are doing this today?
Yeah. So my name's Jesse. I'm a regional maintenance supervisor for J&G Companies in Lafayette, Indiana. We're based out of Carmel, Indiana. We have, I think, right around 2,500 units as a company, maybe a little more or less. I manage a little over 800 units with 6 to 7 technicians. I've been with them for 5 years now, 5.5. And that's all my time in the industry, too. This company's the only company I've known. They've been good to me, and I do enjoy working for them. And it's great to meet all of the industry experts on LinkedIn like yourself and all of them that are just really good mentors to the younger guys coming in like myself. It's really been I think I made a LinkedIn post here recently kind of stating that I didn't want to be just a regular maintenance guy. And I understand some guys don't want to do anything more than that. But I really wanted to get out there in the field and meet some of the industry experts and get the mentorship and all the extra that you guys have to offer for people like myself. So it's really exciting to be here today. And are you in New York City?
I'm right outside New York City. I live in central New Jersey.
Okay.
Some would call it South Jersey. It depends on where where you're from up here in the Northeast. But you kept using the word mentor.
Yeah.
So the reason that we are here today and the reason that we're meeting for the first time like this is I have the privilege of being your mentor for a program that you applied for with NAA. Do you want to speak a little bit about the program, or do you want me to talk about it?
I can give a little input.
Yeah.
So the 20 on the Rise, had seen it on LinkedIn. And they said, I think I seen a post and it was like, we only have a few more weeks of entries. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I kind of did a little bit of research on it. And I thought that was nice. And I had somebody that had did the whole writing format for me. My regional office manager that I work with, she did all that for me. It helped me out. And I didn't know if I'd get selected or not. I thought I had a good chance. I know there's a whole lot of candidates that they had this year. I think they had like 170 or more candidates. And I was happy to be chosen. It's really an honor to be surrounded by 20 of the younger stars in the industry, up and coming, as they say, because we're the future. And like I said before, I don't want to be just a normal maintenance guy. I wanted to make a difference and lead and around the others and just be able to be different, step outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah. So, the 20 on the Rise program is brand new. I mean, it's replacing longstanding program with the National Apartment Association of 20 in their 20s. What I think is interesting is that as an organization, NAA realized, there's some great rising stars that aren't in their 20s. They're in
Right.
I'm not going to ask you your age, Jesse. We'll have that conversation offline. Listen, I learned men, women. I don't ask anybody their age.
I just turned 30.
Well,
Turned 30. So yeah.
Congratulations. I got into this business when I was 30. So we can definitely talk. And I just this past week, I celebrated my 16th year in the apartment industry, which is pretty unique.
Yeah.
So the program was rebranded this year, leaving 20 in it, right? So it's rebranded to 20, from 20 in their 20s to 20 on the rise. And it is a really great group. I actually know a couple of people. I've had exposure to a couple of people in the group already.
Yeah.
And something, that was really great to see was maintenance professionals. I know that you're one. I saw from the list that's available on NAA's website, there's 2 or 3 of the 20 in your class that are actually maintenance professionals, which I think it's great that people like maintenance people like you are applying, that NAA is having maintenance applicants in general. I think it's a pretty awesome program. So tell me about you had some virtual, you've had some virtual meetings with the group already. Did you have an in-person meeting in March or not yet?
Yeah, it was virtual, and everything's been virtual up to this point. I actually missed the last virtual meeting.
Me too.
We had.
And Jesse, because we're maintenance professionals, why don't you tell everybody why you missed a very important meeting, and I'll tell everybody why I missed that very important meeting.
We have a 3-story building, and there's a 2-inch CPVC water line coming off of the main water meter that we had plumbers come do it. We didn't want to assume the liability of it. And so we paid our plumbing company to come do it, and they had to go get CPVC fittings and all that good stuff. And they glued everything back in and let it hold for about an hour. And then we went to turn the water back on. Their fitting blew and completely destroyed a unit and a half of another one. And so there was no way I could be a part of it. I mean, it was all hands on deck getting that mess cleaned up. So it was funny because once I was done with it and everything, I actually joined the meeting. And I think still a few of the people were in it that lead it. And I was like, where is everyone?
Yeah, it's one of those, and I'll tell you from my years of experience, it's one of those things that I don't care what meeting's on my calendar.
Yeah.
If there's fire, flood, or blood, I'm there. And I had fire. You had flood.
Yeah.
I had fire that day. I was on site dealing with an apartment complex fire. So, I was right in it. So I know your pain quite well.
For sure.
So a couple of key things that are really cool about this program is that you're going to eventually be featured in Units Magazine. You're getting a free registration to Apartmentalize in Las Vegas. I know we're going to get to see each other there. But another big component of this, and one of the reasons why we're actually meeting, is the mentorship.
Uh-huh.
So, I've had the honor of having some great mentors. I want to talk a little bit about mentorship and what you are looking for, but let's talk about some of your experiences with mentors. I mean, you're 30 years old. I'm sure that you've had some great mentors in your life. You don't have to give names, but why don't we talk a little bit about, what are some of the qualities that you've had in previous mentors? What have you learned to either do or not do? Because sometimes mentors aren't always giving you the right thing to do.
No, I've had several of the people that I get to work with from the corporate level. They've been great mentors for me. I think one of the things that I took closest to my heart was learning how to be a professional in this industry. When I came into this industry, I didn't have any experience, just like most of us don't really. I had never even worked with tools before. So I was green. I made
it doesn't get much greener than that. I think.
You could have told me to go look for the left-handed screwdriver and I would have went and looked for it. It was like that. So I've had some people really teach me how to be a professional, and that actually led me to creating my LinkedIn profile, interacting with more industry professionals and getting out there more, being involved in programs like this, getting my name out there, being in meetings, podcasts, all of that has really done well for me. And then my maintenance higher ups that that are basically my bosses, they've been really good teaching me when they come around, and just throughout the 5 years, and just 5.5 short years. About a month ago, I looked back when I made my LinkedIn post that I keep referencing to, and you kind of look back sometimes at how quickly you learned, how you picked it up, and uh, the people that were there to help you and keep you striving to be better every day. Those are the people that I really appreciate for the
Yeah.
past 5.5 years.
Yeah. I personally had some great mentors. I was a lot like you. Uh, I knew the difference between a left-handed and a right-handed screwdriver. But I was also very green when I got into the industry. I didn't come from I came from a facilities background, but not necessarily a tradesman's background, which a lot of people come from. I
Yeah.
knew how to run a building, didn't know necessarily how to fix it and how to fix the things in said building. So I think you and I might share some common ground there.
Sure.
But yeah, I had some great mentors early in my career that I still call friends to this day, even outside of this industry. I've had mentors throughout my entire life. And even today, I have industry. There's two different groups I like to bucket mentors in. Is mentors that I look up to
Yeah.
and like aspire to be, and maybe I don't know them very well or I don't get to talk to them. And then there's those people that I'm in it with. And I had the privilege of talking to somebody who started as a mentor and now he's just a very good friend of mine, still
Yeah.
kind of a mentor.
Yeah.
Earlier this week. So, what are some of the things that you are looking for? You applied for this program, right? This first time ever, they tell you, cool, you're going to apartmentalize, we're going to hook you up. Was the mentorship something that it sounds like it was something we were looking for? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
Yeah. No, it was.
was that enticing to you?
Yeah. I thought that was the most interesting part of the whole program, was actually being assigned a mentor. And they give you a whole selection on, I guess, based on if you're more on the office side or maintenance side. Would you rather have like a CEO mentoring you, or like a higher maintenance director? So I thought that was interesting. And, what I'm looking for is just, more mentorship on professionalism and maintenance, how to keep improving myself, situations that you may have been in that I can relate to, how you've handled things versus how I've handled things in the past. And again, like I said, I'm only 5 years into this. I still have so much to learn about this industry. And it's almost like every day I'm learning something new, especially being in a new position now, being over 7 technicians. I'm only a month in. So that's been interesting. And I like all the guys that we have, and I enjoy it. But it's been different though, from the technician side of it to, the manager side of it.
Yeah. It's very different.
It's,
It is very, very different.
and this week has been one of those weeks, where
One of
it's
those
been a rough
challenging
week.
weeks, huh?
Yeah, it's challenging. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things I advocate for all the time, and it is really the job of the current class, if you will, right? The people who have been doing this 15, 20 years to really make sure that we're developing. So when I was asked, would you be a mentor? I said, absolutely. There's no question. Who is it? Was I think my first question. And it was like, okay, we'll send you an email,
Yeah.
But for me, I think that the most important thing in a mentor-mentee relationship is, and this is really for not just for you, but it's for the greater audience, is that, I want you to know that as a mentor, I'm going to be always listening, right? I'm here to listen.
Uh-huh.
That the good TikTok meme that's going around, the video that's going around is listen, don't judge,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times and they're very funny, but our natural inclination is to judge. You might tell me how you handled, say, that flood. And as a mentor, whether in an official or an unofficial capacity, I think it's important to say, Jesse, that's great how you handle the situation. Whether or not I agree, I'm listening to you. It's how you deal with it. I think in future times that we get to meet, I really want to hear your stories and your challenges, because that's the best part, right? Is to listen and digest. And not enough people do that just in general these days.
Yeah, and that's one thing, definitely, being in the leadership role now, you have to deal with all those interpersonal issues now with technicians, and, maybe one of them's upset with the office manager or the other tech that they work by, so just like you said, kind of sitting back and listening and not judging the situation. I've already learned that a little bit, and I want to keep learning how to handle those situations. And I think that's great for me, having a mentorship, especially with someone who has, 15, 20 years of experience. You've handled a whole lot more situations than I have. So I think that's one thing I'm really going to take away is, maybe handling difficult situations on staff level issues. Like that's important to me, because at the end of the day, that's what helps make me more professional too, to the guys that I have on my team.
Yeah, I think that's important. Something important that managers and supervisors don't listen to enough is ask the simple question. Hey, what do you need?
Yeah.
Right. And as your mentor, as we go through this program, again, I want to be careful. We're not going to get into any specifics. You and I will do that in privacy. But it is part of that listening and, getting to the bottom of, to use your example, staff members not getting along. You have to be able to carefully listen and ask the right questions to even advance what the next step is, right? Like, okay, so what do I do? Well, you have to get all the information before you do that.
Sure.
So one of the things that is very big for me in a mentor-mentee relationship is goal setting. I'm going to give you homework. Yeah. So I think it's important.
Okay.
So one of the real important things is goal setting, and goal setting can be very small goals, short-term goals, and they can be long-term. And you said when you got into this industry and you applied for this program, you set a goal for yourself to get outside of your one little site and your one little company. So cool. Checklist that.
Yeah.
But your homework before the next time we meet will be, I'd love to see what some of your 3 short-term goals.
Okay.
And 1 3-year goal and 1 5-year goal. So short-term goals can be next week, next month, at some point this year. And then I recommend all my listeners, go ahead and set, those short-term and long-term goals. And if it's not with a mentor, it's with your direct supervisor or an accountability partner, right? Maybe there's a team member that you have a really close relationship with. You're on the same level. Hey, you can mentor somebody. Anybody can mentor anybody, and you can be a mentee for anyone. I'm going to give you a little bit of homework on goal setting, because it's really important, and it's a good place for us to start future conversations.
Sure.
I'm not going to let our audience know what any of your goals are, but you and we may have a follow-up in the future.
Yeah.
Because I think it's really important. On-air follow-up, if you will.
For sure, yeah.
So what are some of the challenges that you have that you think you need to work through? And again, what's a challenge that you have, a hurdle that you would like to overcome? I know it's a hard question. I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, I want to say a couple things. I'm not sure if I want to put them out there right now.
Okay. But you know them. And I think that's really important, right? Yeah. Is that a lot of people don't see what their challenges are. And once you know what the challenges are, that's where somebody can help and work with you on creating a plan, sharing resources, sharing experiences. Because we're going to do a lot of different things, in our relationship.
That's one thing, like the experiences,
Yeah.
You've been through a whole lot more experiences than I have. And being able to relate on certain things that I believe we probably both have been through, being in this industry, allows me to learn how you handled it, what worked for you, what didn't work for you. So that's important to me.
It's always funny when I sit with industry peers and friends and even people that I work with, right? We all experience the same thing on a regular basis. You would think that there's some magic universal book that we could all go to and be like, oh, you had a flood, and, you could just open up the magic book and go, oh, this is exactly what 50 other people have exactly done. No, it doesn't exist. Right. So every experience that we have in the apartment industry, in really any industry, but definitely ours, you would imagine like there's got to be, and it's not.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. You and I have kind of beat the dead horse on the mentor-mentee relationship. I want to know a little bit more about Jesse as a person. So tell me, which I think is also part of our mentee mentor relationship, right? It's getting to know, so I know how old you are. I know that you're wearing the best hat in the world. Like it's important to dress for success, and wearing the official Multifamily Media Network MMN hat. I'll work with some folks, and I'm going to send you some of our coffee and a coffee mug too.
Great.
That was a shout out to my folks at MMN to get a care package ready for my new friend Jesse.
That's great.
But how did you get into this business? I mean, you said you've been here 5 years.
Yeah.
You did something between, school and when you got into the business. So what brought you into our industry?
This is probably my favorite part to tell everyone. I like telling it. Out of high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I had started going to college to be a teacher. I have my associate's degree in arts, and I have a bunch of teaching credits. I think, I haven't looked at so long, but I think I'm a couple semesters away from being able to do student teaching if I ever wanted to, but which I won't. I've made a career out of this. But I kind of lost the passion for that. So then I went to the police force and started going after that. And then COVID hit in 2020, and they had stopped the hiring process at the local place that I interviewed for. They were going through budget issues and things like that. So I had a little part-time job at that time. I was cleaning the courthouse after hours, and I needed, obviously more money, more hours. And a guy that I went to church with, Bruce, he worked at this property, and he needed some help. I told him, hey, I don't know anything, but he said, I'll take you in. You can learn. And so I got started, and I hated it at first. I thought it was really awkward going into people's homes, and that's what we do daily. We go fix things in people's homes. So when you're brand new to all that, it's a little awkward. It's weird. I was very frustrated at first because that's how I get when I don't know something. But his patience with me, I still to this day, I still text him or call him and thank him for the patience he had with me. He allowed me to break things, nothing too major. I think one of the funniest stories, we had a clogged kitchen sink, and the building is a fourplex. So the 2 units in the middle, their kitchen sink drains are back to back. And he sent me over there, and I've watched him do it before, and this was my first time doing it on my own. And I didn't pay any attention to how I was sending the cable in there, and I didn't pay attention of it going down. And so I went through and up the other person's sink, and I tore through their basket strainer, and it was trolling around in the kitchen. And thankfully that person wasn't home.
So that does, hold on one time. So that happens in real life. That is not something that just happens on a sitcom or in a cartoon.
I've seen the videos on TikTok or stuff before of plumbers doing that.
It actually does happen.
It happened to me.
That's great.
And the person next door, they never knew. They weren't home. So we went in, fixed their basket strainer. They never knew. But he let me make mistakes like that to where I learned. And I think sometimes you have to, that's how you learn. And so never again did I ever do that in the 5 years later. But his patience is really, I think, what helped me succeed and get to where I'm at now. I think we all have that one person that really, really helped us, and it was him. And like I said, I owe a lot of respect and appreciation to him for how he taught me. And he was old school. He is old school. He was like 60, 65 years old. So he actually had retired, and I had taken his position as supervisor, and that was my first ever property I worked at, and I still to this day love that property. I think most people I talk to, they still love their first ever property that they worked at. You know the property like the back of your hand, and I'm 4 hours away from that property now, so I don't get to see it as often. But I know people that still work there, and I still check in and say, "Hey, you guys taking care of it?"
I had a similar experience. My first property, a little 100-unit mid-rise.
Yeah,
I should never have been hired for the job. And as somebody that all I do all day is review resumes and interview folks, I would not have hired me. But the gentleman who did, his name's Lou Hunter, my first mentor in this industry. He took a chance on me. He looked at my resume. I knew nothing. He liked I think how we put it, I like your pluck, kid. You know, I said pluck, Pluck, just for the censors on YouTube and Spotify and Apple. But I think it's really important that sometimes, and somebody took a chance on you too, right, Jesse? Is that somebody looked past the resume, looked past no trade background, no HVAC, no certifications. And in this job market, it's something that we as an industry, we have to do more and more and more.
yeah,
Right. So that's a little lesson I have for you. You have 7 technicians now, and hopefully the entire time you're there, you'll have 7 technicians. But you know what? You might not. And you may have a unique opportunity as a hiring manager in your role now to be able to give that chance to somebody else. And I don't think it happens enough these days.
yeah. I think more so now. You know, you gotta have electrical, HVAC, plumbing, carpentry skills, and
Painting, drywall, have to know how to
all of that.
how to clean a pool, how to
And the majority of people do not have all that.
oh,
You know, and I think obviously one of the major problems in our industry is obviously the pay gap. And for what you're asking everyone to do, it is a lot. It is a lot to ask for all these certifications and all this experience.
it is an industry problem.
Yeah,
It is a nationwide in various markets. I've spoken about it before, Facebook or memes on LinkedIn. There's truth to some of those ones that we see on our feeds, and I hope that there are other folks in the industry that do see that. But there's a lot of companies that are making great strides in closing that gap. There are a lot of great organizations that are really focusing on not just looking at, is this the right job description for the role, right? Is this really what we need, right?
yeah,
Do you need somebody that can do HVAC when you don't even have HVAC at your property? But it's part of the company's job description, but there's
yeah.
no HVAC at the property. But
And
it's
I've seen a lot of companies have changed their job descriptions, and I've noticed a change in some recently that I've just happened to look at, and how they've changed descriptions of the job and what the requirements are. And I think this industry is going to get to the problem of having a lot of your older guys retiring, just as in all the trades, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, all those trades where we're in a shortage.
Yes.
I think a lot of those trades now are to the point where they'll pay you for free to go. Like you get the schooling and all that for free now.
Right.
And then
Right.
you can come out and, be an apprentice and work your way up to a journeyman or whatnot. But yeah, I don't know how long any of that's going to take, but I do see it in the future. I think we all do.
Well, I think it's really important that it makes me feel good as somebody who's been involved with the National Apartment Association and committees and stuff, going on 6 or 7 years of my 16 in the business, that there are like-minded individuals coming up through the maintenance ranks like yourself, Jesse. My hope is that someday you're going to have a conversation, whether it's recorded or not recorded,
Yeah.
with a 30-year-old that has been in the industry for a few years, and they're the next generation. And
For sure.
I'm not going anywhere. This is not my retirement speech. I plan on being in this industry for a long time. I wouldn't say I'm an old man. I know some old men. Hey, Paul Rhodes, in this industry. And then there's a middle generation. I like to call myself part of the middle generation. Hi, Mark Sharp. So that I have to shout them out. I think it's my new thing because I'm doing another show with them. So I
Yeah.
gotta kind of, shout out my other hosts. But I think it's great to hear that you are interested. And I think that, one of the other pieces of homework that you can do is tell every maintenance technician, get on LinkedIn. It sounds so ridiculous, right? I know that we're and this is a message to all of my, 4 or 5 listeners is that, advocate, get them technology friendly, get them on oh, we don't like Facebook. Okay. LinkedIn's not Facebook. You need to know what's going on in your industry. You can actually learn things on LinkedIn. There's trainings. This is not an ad for LinkedIn, but there's not enough of our industry presence for maintenance professionals on a platform like that.
And we have to change that outlook. And that's goes back to what I said. I didn't want to be a regular maintenance guy, And so just me creating that LinkedIn profile and being able to be in contact with you and all of those industry experts that I could be on podcasts with and learn and just talk to you guys. I didn't picture any of this when I created my profile, Yeah. I really didn't. And like you said, it's not Facebook. There is training on there. There's free training. There's so many good industry experts on there that you can connect with.
There's articles and companies that you can follow, and you can actually read, oh, I learned more about this organization or this product or this company.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a huge proponent of social media technologies, especially when they would help with the advancement, of those that want it. Mm-hmm. So, Jesse, as we wind down, I will, I'm going to say right here, I would love to have another follow up with you, and it'll be, maybe towards the end of our, our year together, because it really is. It's going to be, this entire year of 2025. But I really encourage you and I are going to set up offline a follow up meeting and really want to be talking quite regularly on whatever you need, right? And I can put you in touch with others because that, you don't want one mentor, you want 100 mentors. Yeah. And I think that's no matter whether it's an expertise in a certain area of study or something that you really like. I will tell a quick story. One of the reasons why I got so involved in the National Apartment Association and speaking and education was because I saw somebody doing it. And I just said to them, how do I do what you're doing? And that's where my relationship with this person started 6 years ago. And they are one of my best friends in this industry. They're one of my best mentors. And all I started with was one sentence. How do I get to do what you do? Mm-hmm. And from there, that person took a chance on me.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm committing to you, Jesse, is that, you and I are going to have conversations and we're going to talk about how I did it and how I know others did it. Right. And what do you really want? Do you want to be the world's greatest maintenance supervisor, or do you want to be the CEO of an organization? And there are people who have started as cleaners and landscapers that have run massive or CEOs of organizations. Some of them I just found out recently I never knew actually started in their early days in maintenance, which also makes me feel warm. Jesse, do you have any closing remarks as I kind of get ready to close out this episode?
No, I've enjoyed this. I'm excited to be able to do the follow-ups with you and really get more detailed on things. Like we talked about, the mentorship was the one that I think struck me the most. And as yourself wanting to get into that too, us people like me, I mean, we appreciate that, having the mentors that have been in the industry much longer than us. Without you guys, we're not doing this right now. So I do appreciate what you're doing, and I'm glad that I got connected with you. And like you said, I think there's a couple other guys in the 20 on the Rise too that are maintenance professionals. So I'm excited for them too. I'm just excited for maintenance being able to get that recognition as well, because most of the time it is the office. They're the office side of things. They're the more professional side. They deal with the residents, on those kind of cases. But no, I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to the year that we have.
Awesome. So as we close out, Jesse, I know this was a unique way for you to meet your mentor. So I thank you for doing it. I think the 20 on the Rise program and you being in the inaugural class is gonna be a great success. I'm so happy that it's being done. I'm honored to be one of the 20 mentors for the 20, and I'm really looking forward to our future conversations. But seeing you in Apartmentalize in a few short weeks, we are about 30 days away.
Yeah.
Some of us call our Super Bowl. It is definitely my Super Bowl. I think it's a great opportunity for those of you out there. Tag a mentor, write in the comments, tag your mentor, share this with your mentor, tell them how much they mean to you. And if you're a mentor for somebody, thank you. And mentorship, nobody can get where they are without proper guidance, without just somebody to listen. So I want to say to all of the mentors out there, whether you know it or not, you've changed somebody's lives. And thank you to one of my first mentors in this industry. And I'll say his name again, Lou Hunter. And someday I'll have him on the show and he'll tell the world why he took a chance on me all those years ago, 16 years ago. With that, we're going to close out this episode of Beyond the Work. Jesse Best, thank you so much for joining me. If you are still listening, thank you. Like, subscribe, share, comment, and please, please, please go check out The Turnover with my dear friends, Paul Rhodes and Mark Sharp. We are having a lot of fun over there, and we would love to hear your questions on that show. So, Jesse, I'm going to send you a link, and you're going to ask a question to some of my friends and mentors as well.
Great.
So, thank you all, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining me for this episode. No matter how long you've been in our industry or what position you have at your company or your community, everyone has a maintenance story to tell. Go to www.multifamilymedianetwork.com and leave me a voice message or share your information and we can tell your tale together on a future episode. Please check out our sponsors and like, subscribe, and follow to this podcast or video and join the Multifamily Media News Network newsletter for upcoming shows and blogs from me and the other great hosts on our network. Our stories all connect us. See you for the next chapter.